Can everybody hear at the back?
If you shout as well.
Shout, yeah.
Oh, I'm not shouting. Okay then, right, I've come from Doncaster today, and I don't come just to represent myself. I come with lots and lots of women and men campaigners in Doncaster who have absolutely had enough of Tory cuts and have said that enough is enough, and we're going to fight to save our services. In Doncaster, we have three of some of the major Labour MPs, and I think because of that, we have seen some of the worst cuts. Sadly, women have been absolutely at the brunt of those cuts in Doncaster. We have some of the lowest wages in the country, but we have the highest levels of domestic violence. This is a class issue. This is an issue that is forced on all of us to do something about. And there's two reasons why I come today. My great-grandma in 1944 nearly died because she didn't have 8 shillings to pay for the medication that she needed because we had no NHS. My nana, a daughter, lost 3 sisters in their 20s because there wasn't an NHS. I stand here to defend what they have fought for and for what they have suffered, just like I know your family have. My family, like many families in Liverpool, there's lots of similarities besides loving the Beatles. There's lots of similarities between Doncaster and Liverpool, and is that we have a fantastic tradition of standing up for ordinary people. My father went on strike during the 84-5 strike for a year, and my mum stood side by side, and that's exactly what happened in Doncaster when we found out that women's aid was going to close this April. We have no women's aid now in the whole of South Yorkshire. We have just found out that Newcastle, the whole of women's aid is closing down. And if the Tories succeed with bringing in their local housing allowance, 67% of refuges will close. This could be your daughter, your mother, your sister. This is a class attack upon working class women. And we need a class response. I remember in 1979, my mum came downstairs to see who won the election. She was in the 90s, she never came downstairs in the 90s. And sadly, Margaret Thatcher won. Yesterday, I know that my mum, at the age of 67, would have been sat in front of the telly, absolutely holding her breath to see if Jeremy Corbyn had won. And he did. And I feel like yesterday was day 0. It is 40 years of horrendous Tory Thatcherism that we saw Blair deliver, that we saw Brown deliver. We need an alternative. But we have to say from Doncaster, we cannot afford to wait for elections. Women are dying now. If your hospital maternity home closes, women will die. If refuges close and domestic violence services close, women will die now. We have to fight now. And in Doncaster, that is exactly what we did, and we won. And we...
Yeah, just shout. Can I just say thanks to everybody for turning up, because you know you've really taken time out of your day to follow the parade right the way through. So thanks a lot once again, and it's just fabulous to see the support. Our next speaker is Sheila Coleman. She's a campaigner and trade unionist, and you will know her from the Hillsborough campaign, how she's fought tirelessly to get justice along with the rest of the people. So please welcome Sheila.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, I'll shout. Thank you. This is brilliant seeing this. I came out of the Blackie where I'd been at an amazing justice conference with a variety of campaigns, and listening to people, it was very inspiring. This is what we in Liverpool do best. and we will not be robbed of things that are ours by right. Some of us are old enough to still refer to the women's hospital as the new women's hospital. I'm one of those. Our families have been born in these hospitals. These hospitals have saved some of our lives. We cannot let it go. It is ours by right. We bought it. We paid for it. This is a charity. Every one of us who works contributes our NHS, our national insurance. We don't get it free. We have paid, our mothers and fathers paid. We have built it under very difficult circumstances, and we will not be robbed of it. It is ours by right, and it's good. At first I was concerned that this campaign, this demonstration and march today coincided with the Labour Party and everything going on. But in a way, it's opportune because it sends out a clear message to the Labour Party and to the government. When we have to, we come out fighting, and we don't go away until we've won. That's in our... I've said it before, it's in our DNA. It's off the stuff that blows across the Mersey. We're made of strong stuff. Jeremy Corbyn's victory yesterday was brilliant, and it happened in this city. Let's not forget that this energy around voting and this re-emergence of people being interested in politics has come about through individual campaigns where people have fought against the odds. Someone mentioned Hillsborough here. That took 27 years, and there's still no real justice except an unlawful killing verdict. That's as far as we've got. I've been with people today whose families have died in police custody. I was with Orgreave campaigners and people from Ireland, the Ballymurphy massacre. These campaigns have energised people. People are realising it shouldn't be normal for these things to happen in a civilised society. We can't take police lying. We can't take violence and our rights being eroded as normal behaviour, and we won't take it. So we send a message out to the conference centre and all those Labour MPs who didn't support Corbyn, who tried to stab him in the back. The message we send out is, we have a humanity, and goodness will always out. We in this city are good people, and we will continue to fight. And if we have to be, we'll wrap ourselves round that women's hospital. But it will remain. Thank you.
Thanks very much to Sheila Coleman, a great woman. I'd like to now introduce... I thought I was shouting actually. I'd like to now introduce Ken Loach, a man with conviction and conscience like this. Responsible for making films that have meaning, weight and clarity and expose what's happening when the federal elite are murdering by proxy. So I'll pass you over now to Ken, and if you can, please try and catch his new film, I, Daniel Blake. It's coming on at FACT on the 21st of October. Thank you.
Thanks very much. It's a real privilege to be asked to speak, say a few words in support of this campaign. I first came to Liverpool over 50 years ago and heard some memorable speakers over that pier head. So I feel in awe of making the standing same words in the shadow of all those great men, great dockers who inspired me back in those days. I wish they were still here. Great men. I'd like to say that that this, of course, is one of many, many campaigns to defend National Health Service facilities, campaigns to keep drop-in centres, walk-in centres, hospital facilities. Up and down the country there are people like you with these campaigns, and I'm sure you're linking up because the unity of those campaigns is absolutely essential. Yeah. I guess you all saw the report a few days ago that said the National Health Service was on the brink of collapse. I guess you all saw that that there was, unless things changed, there would be rationing for National Health Service procedures. Now that's not the fault of the junior doctors, is it? No. That's not the fault of the junior doctors. And it seems to me that the campaigns and the junior doctors and all the other health and trade union issues should be united in one campaign, because we need that unity. And it's but I'm slightly worried by the fact that they've called off the strikes. Now, if that was a democratic decision of the doctors themselves, that's fine. If it was a decision by their union against their wishes, then it will be seen as a retreat. Yes. So I think there are political issues. Okay. I think there are political issues to do with the calling off of that action. If it's taken by the doctors themselves, then we've obviously got to continue the campaign in their name and with their support. If the decision to call it off was taken out without them, then we've got a big problem, and they have to examine that democracy. I think one thing that makes sense of these whole series of cuts is the Tory campaign to change the National Health Service from a service funded by the people, free to everyone at the point of use, into one that is funded by private health insurance. That's their strategic aim. And all these different issues of private contracting out, private health companies coming into the National Health Service, the great PFI scandal, which drains the National Health Service of its money, instigated by the Tories, carried on by New Labour, much to the shame of New Labour, Gordon Brown and co. What a mistake that was. That's draining the health service of its funds. Now, it makes sense, it only makes sense if you see it as part of that strategic aim. And the great victory yesterday is it is the first time in my memory, I was stunned to be corrected, that a Labour leader, as Labour leader, has stood on a picket line alongside people in struggle. And the programme that he and others, and Diane and John stand for, will reverse that programme of turning the health service into a private insurance scheme. And what is it? The programme is to end the private contractors, to get all the private investors out of the health service. Richard Branson shouldn't have to make money to take to his tax haven because we want to look after ourselves when we're sick. Not only that, to put back in place the bursaries for trainee nurses. End the pay freeze for public sector workers, including health service workers. Absolutely essential. So all these programs, particularly the ones of kicking out the private contractors, this spells an end to the Tory New Labour project that the health service is up for sale. This is an end to that project, if we can get Jeremy and John back in power. Now, the last question. Can we get them back in power, not only leadership of the Labour Party? That's a huge question. We can't do it, but we can't do it if they keep stabbing him in the back. Yes. We cannot do it that way. And what worries me, and this is heresy to say it here, what worries me about the calls for unity, I understand why they're made, I can understand why they're made, but can you unite with people who rig the election to the extent of barring a quarter of the membership? Can you unite with them? And the issue of reselection, I notice on the BBC and in the newspapers, it's a threat. It's a threat for you to select your candidates. I think this issue is not to be taken on the defensive. We have to be on the front foot. Say this is about democracy. People have absolutely the right to choose the people who will represent them. This is a democratic issue, and the new Labour leadership should demand that this issue be spoken about, not be caught on the defensive, not accept that it is a threat, but say yes, the members will choose who represents them, and they will be the ones that the leadership that represents the leadership views. It's absolutely an issue of democracy. So yes, we can win, and when the people hear what the programme is, when they know it is the restoration of the health service that has been the jewel in the crown of our society, when they know when that's at stake, yes, they'll vote for us, and yes, we'll win. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken, for that. And we now have to follow that on. Our message is Richard Branson, we're not having any virgin births in a Liverpool women's hospital. We have the great privilege of having the Labour's Shadow Health Secretary, Diane Abbott, to speak to us today.
Very proud to stand here as Labour's Shadow Secretary of State for Health under the leadership of Jeremy Corbyn. And we had a fantastic result yesterday. Let us remember, they fought an exceptionally savage campaign against Jeremy. They made every type of allegation and smear. They purged at least 20,000 of his supporters, but still he won with an increased majority. And one of the things Jeremy is very committed to is defending our NHS and halting and reversing the march of privatisation and marketisation. We are here amongst all the beautifully refurbished buildings, glittering office blocks, and museums of the redeveloped Docklands. But you know, Liverpool remains one of the poorest areas in the country. And many of the poorest and most vulnerable are women. And that is why it is so important to defend Liverpool Women's Hospital and its tradition of commitment and caring for women. Of course, it would be excellent to put more money in, to upgrade it even further, but there can be no question of destroying the heritage and the service that Liverpool Women's Hospital gives to the women and families of Liverpool. So I am glad to stand with you in this campaign, and I believe that we can save this hospital, we can defend Jeremy Corbyn's leadership, And I believe that in 2020, Jeremy Corbyn will be the next Labour Prime Minister.
Thank you. Are we still on? Thank you. Thank you, Diane, for that wonderful speech. Our next person is Professor Wendy Savage, a national president of Keep Our NHS Public, gynaecologist, advocate and campaigner for women's rights in childbirth and fertility.
I'm really honoured to be speaking to such a large crowd and with such distinguished company. I think that the Women's Hospital is a real part of Liverpool. It's been there for many years, it's got a proud history, it treats at least 70,000 women a year, and I cannot understand why they want to move it out of its lovely new building, only 20 years old, to a place which is not half as healing. Is that not loud enough?
Wait for the bus.
Right. It seems a completely ridiculous decision. Now, I know that when we had the new coalition government in 2010, and we had this white paper, Equity and Excellence, Liberating the NHS, which your own Professor Margaret Whitehead said the only thing that's going to be liberated is money for the private sector. And that is actually what is happening. Now, Andrew Lansley said there were three aims to his bill. It was to reduce bureaucracy, to put clinicians in charge, and to give patients more control. And he used the mantra, no decision about me without me. And here is something that is completely not what people want. 40,000 people have already signed a petition in favour of keeping the women's where it is, but are they being listened to? And Lansley, of course, is now in the House of Lords, and even the Tories realise that the Health and Social Care Act 2012 was their biggest mistake, and they realise that it is completely destroying the health service, and they can see that this isn't good for their electoral prospects. But it's only going to be not good for their electoral prospects if we actually make them listen to what we say and make enough fuss about it. A women's hospital has a different atmosphere in it from a general hospital. And what people have said to me is that they feel respected in the women's hospital. And so often patients don't feel respected. And to lose this for nebulous reasons seems crazy. I understand that there's a projected £5 million deficit, but that deficit is not because the hospital's badly managed, it's not because they've not done the right things, it's because the government has not given them enough money to run the service. And the doom and gloom that is in all the newspapers about the terrible deficit in the NHS of £2 billion. I mean, I know it's a lot of money, but on the basis of a budget of 112 billion, it's not a huge amount. But it's going to be there if the government cuts the tariff for doing the work, which is what they've done, if the government doesn't pay for all the people who go to A&E, how can hospitals prevent people coming to an A&E? It's not possible to do that. And so if they're only paid for 2/3 of them, they're obviously going to be in deficit. And one can't help but think that this is part of a plan to destabilise the NHS and make it appear that it is unaffordable. It is not unaffordable. And even the Office of Budget Responsibility last week came out in favour of the NHS being affordable. So there is a consistent narrative put into the press by Reform, who seem to be listened to by the BBC in a way that pressure groups like Keep Our NHS Public, and I can see a lovely flag of ours over there, it's very hard to get our people onto the Today programme, onto Newsnight, to counteract this narrative that we get all the time. We can't afford the NHS. Of course we can afford the NHS. We are the 5th largest economy in the world, and if we can't afford to look after our people, our citizens, when they're old, when they're sick, then we don't deserve to call ourselves a civilized country. Now, I understand that the managers who want to move the hospital bring up the question of safety. Now, after many years of fighting, like from 1985, the World Health Organization said, birth is not an illness. And it took many years of campaigning to get that message across to doctors and midwives. But it has gone across. And it is now accepted that women can have their babies at home. Now, of course, sometimes things go wrong and they need transfer to hospital. And sometimes in a hospital which hasn't got all the things it needs, you will need to transfer somebody out. But with 10,000 births a year and less than 100 women or babies who need transfer, why should those 10,000 women lose the ambience, the healing atmosphere at the women's, just because some people have to be transferred quite safely a mile away? So, keep up the fight, and I'm sure, as has been said, you will win. We just hope it won't take 27 years this time.
Thank you, Wendy. And our next speaker is Julie Ward, MEP.
Thank you. I wanted to come and be here today because I'm a union member. I've accessed NHS services. I've had babies. My parents are using the NHS regularly every week. So, like you, I believe in the NHS. I've paid into it all my life. I never took out any kind of private pension, insurance, or anything because I believed in the welfare state, and I still do. And I think all of us, we built our country after the Second World War to be an inclusive country that cared for everybody from the cradle to the grave. And we're fighting for that now again. We're fighting to keep it. But I wanted to talk a little bit about gender equality and women's rights on a global scale. Because I thought, I'm a feminist, and I got elected in 2014, went into the European Parliament, and thought actually that gender equality, that we'd won that battle. And I can tell you folks, step back to the side. Oh, sorry. Right. I can tell you folks that we haven't won that battle, that women's rights are under attack all around the world. and in here in the UK too. The UK is ranked 18th in the international gender equality ranking indexes. That is pretty bad. 18, below South Africa, below Namibia, below Nicaragua. Rwanda, a country in Africa that experienced genocide 22 years ago, is higher in gender equality than we are. So there's something wrong here, and we have to address it. I just want to talk a little bit about solidarity with other countries. Poland, 2 days ago, the right-wing Polish government 2 days ago passed a bill that makes abortion almost a jailable offence for women. And this is a terrible thing in 2016, that women don't have rights over their bodies and that they can be jailed for this. So I want us to stand in solidarity with women everywhere. Women here in Liverpool standing in solidarity with women in other parts of the world who are coming under attack. I have a friend in Slovenia, and we were talking about the Istanbul Convention, which is a convention to stop violence against women and girls. And my friend in Slovenia said, my country hasn't signed up to it because they say it's too expensive. And I don't know how many of you know this, but this government hasn't signed up to the Istanbul Convention either. And my response to that is, it's women's lives that will bear the brunt of the cost. Women will die if we don't address the situation about violence against women and girls. So when a government or an authority say they're going to stop and close down a dedicated women's service, i.e. the Liverpool Women's Hospital here, they're also going to come after the women's refuges. They're going to come after women's access to justice. They're going to come after education for women. They're going to come after Sure Start centres. They're doing it already. So this is a plea to all of you to stand up with women everywhere for women-centred service. Giving me the space to talk here. I feel honoured. You know, this city, what this city has done to fight against social injustice, to fight against all kinds of terrible miscarriages of justice. You're a beacon to the rest of the world. Thank you for everything you do in standing up and never giving up.
Thank you, Julie. You think you're shouting, but anyway. Our next person who's going to speak is Emma Brabin, and she's a patient at the Women's Hospital, and she wants to tell you about this Centre of Excellence and how wonderful they are at delivering their services.
As Teresa said, I'm a current patient of the Liverpool Women's Hospital. I also work for RASA, the sexual abuse charity. 4 years ago, I lost my baby girl, and since then, I have suffered from a lot of gynecological problems. And I was under the care of a hospital on the Wirral, a hospital of which I had very negative experiences. I asked my GP to refer me to the Women's after talking to a lot of women and hearing fabulous things about the treatment they received and the care of the nurses and doctors there. I got my appointment 4 weeks ago. Within 5 minutes of being with the doctor, I was told I needed a procedure which should have been done a number of years ago. I had my pre-op the following week. The care was amazing that I received in that appointment. I am Thursday, and I am overwhelmed with the treatment and the care and the understanding. To close this hospital would be an absolute disgrace. For the women of Merseyside to have somewhere to go where they will be listened to, taken care of and respected means more than any of you could ever realise. Thank you.
That is the reason why we need to keep the Liverpool Women's Hospital. Our next speaker, we've got two speakers, they'll be brief, is one of the 47 Labour third charge councillors that fought the Tories in the 80s. Our city helped defeat the Tories, Tony, and then we'll have Felicity rounding off the demonstration.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate everybody for turning out on this fantastic demo today. It's one of the biggest demos we've seen since the 80s. And I'd like to congratulate the organisers, Leslie, Felicity, keep our National Health Service public, keep the Liverpool Women's Hospital open, all of these magnificent organisations. And I'd like to congratulate Liverpool Against the Cops, the Trades Council, the Socialist Party, who played a magnificent role in collecting thousands of signatures in the finest traditions of the Labour movement. So what we've seen is a coming together, a non-sectarian massive campaign involving the community organisations, the activists within the Labour movement, to show the leadership of the Labour movement and the trade union movement what they should be doing. What they should be doing to stop the crucifixion of the National Health Service. The National Health Service is the jewel in the crown of the last of the Clement Attlee Labour government. And the Women's Hospital is the jewel in the crown of the NHS. When you've been around as long as I have, and I've got 7 kids, 5 of them were born, 3 of them were born in the old Oxford Street Women's Hospital. 2 of them were born in the new Women's Hospital. Grandchildren were born in the new Women's Hospital. 2 great-grandchildren were born in the Women's Hospital. This is a magnificent facility. And for them to argue that it's no longer fit for purpose is an abject lie. They want to plug it up so that they can use the land to build houses and to grease the palms of the housing developers waiting in the wings to spring on the bare bones of the Women's Hospital and the NHS. And it's about time this Liverpool City Council and Mayor Anderson came out in total opposition to the closure of the Women's Hospital. 5 words of sympathy is not enough. 5 words defending the NHS is not enough. What we demand by our leaders is action now to send a clear message to the Tory government that we will not accept the closure of the Women's Hospital, which has played an absolutely magnificent role in looking after our mothers, our wives, our daughters, our sisters, our babies over a period of decades. And I think I'd like to finish on this note. The campaign starts now. Jeremy Corbyn has been elected as the leader of the Labour Party with a firm commitment to bring the NHS back into public ownership. And those MPs that are now prepared to stand firmly behind Jeremy Corbyn should be deselected by the rank and file of the Labour Party and replaced by MPs who are prepared to fight on behalf of the working class. It's very simple. We're in favour of empowering the rank and file of the Labour movement to call their representatives into account. And that's got to go from the top to the bottom of the whole of the Labour movement. This has been a magnificent demonstration. Let's build on this. Let's go forward and let's save the Women's Hospital.
Thank before I introduce the final speaker, I just want to say a big thank you to Pam, our signer. Thank you so much, Pam. Thank you. Our last speaker will be Felicity Dowling, who started the campaign in March 2015. I'll leave her to introduce herself. She's a lifelong campaigner.
Also one of the 47.
And also one of the 47 surcharge councillors too. A lifelong campaigner. She started this campaign in March 2015 with a handful of us. Now look at the numbers. We've got over 5,000 signatures on petitions, and we've shown the powers that be what we want to achieve from today. Felicity.
Thanks to everyone who's come. Thanks particularly to those of you who've got babies. Sorry, Cam. Thanks to everyone who's come. Thanks particularly to those of you who brought the babies. That's what it's all about. This, seriously, is a hospital we have to save. It's not going to be finished now. This is the launch of our campaign. We will have to keep the campaign going until we've clearly won. Yesterday, they announced that their consultation said 78% of people agreed with them. But we were at all their consultations. It is not true. But they will believe it, and they will plough ahead unless we can keep this campaign going. Now, on Monday at 9 o'clock, in the main hall at the Blackie, there's another set of speeches about saving the NHS, and we're honoured to be involved in that. In October, some of the students have got Alison Pollard coming on the 4th of October, and another one about renationalising our NHS on the 5th of October. Look out for them. But we want more. We want, wherever you are, we want a meeting in your area. We want meetings across the Merseyside region where we come and we speak and we leaflet and we make sure everybody knows. There's a particular... Yeah, thanks to all my students who are here. We seriously want to keep this campaign going. A few facts that you might not know, but we'll publish these soon. If they move the births at the women's to the Royal, it will be in a triangle of traffic pollution, which will be harmful to the babies. Where did they get those facts? From the City Council, who are proposing the move. They know it's a dangerous place to put the babies. We know that the grass and the trees and the greenery around the women's helps. But most of all, it's the fact that the women's respect women. It's a safe place for us, and we will keep that safe place. Thanks again for coming. Understand, this is the start. This is not going to be easy. They've got their ninja privatisers advising them as to how to do it, and they'll stop and they'll start and they'll have another go. We've got to be on top of it. Save Liverpool Women's Hospital. Save Liverpool Women's Hospital. Thank you.
Right, go home now, folks. Take the message. Get your mates, get your friends, get everybody you know to support this campaign. Check us out on Facebook and join in all the activities we will be organising from now. Remember, the fight starts now. Goodbye. Thank you, everyone, so much. Thank you.